up? Welcome back to my channel. My name's Elizabeth and today we're doing our countdown to Bookmas day 6. Do you like my mug? I love this mug. This is what other people do, isn't it? Although I'm sure they actually have coffee in theirs. I don't drink coffee. I do drink tea though. So today's video is we're going to be talking about some bookish recommendations. I'm going to give you 1 or 2 recommendations for each genre. And I'm going to try not to pick all of the super popular ones, but of course there's going to be some I can't help myself. But anyway, let's jump right in. The first recommendation is YA fantasy, and that is The Tiger's Curse by Colleen Houck. This is one of my favorite books, and I think it's one of the most underrated books that I own. And this is about a pair of princes who were cursed into being tigers by this evil wizard king, and they are now immortal tigers. Kelsey, our main character, works in a carnival for the summer, and she meets this tiger and they start to form this connection. And the tiger's handler comes to her and says, hey, would you like to come to India and help me take care of the tiger? And she agrees, so they go to India, and then she learns that the tiger is actually a prince that has been cursed, and so she has to go and help them break the curse. And it is such a fun ride. There are 4 books in this series. I say 4. Supposedly a 5th one has come out, but the 4th one ended perfectly. I don't see how the 5th one could even be a book, although I think it's in a different point of view than the other 4, so it may be like a companion. I don't know. But I love these books so much, and they're just so beautiful, and the romance in it is so adorable. Highly recommend this book. The next category is adult fantasy, and unfortunately I don't read very many adult fantasy. I'm trying to get more into it, but I'm going to recommend Nevernight by Jay Kristoff. This is about Mia, who is how old is Mia? I always forget how old she is. I feel like she's like 13 or something. They're really young, but Mia witnesses her parents' murder, and so she vows vengeance on them and goes to a school for assassins. It's so much fun. I kind of think of it as like Harry Potter, but instead of teaching you magic, they teach you how to kill people, but if you fail, you die. So it's pretty exciting. A lot of people get turned off by the footnotes. There are quite a lot of them. I would say 2 things. 1, if you just can't get into it because of the footnotes, like the footnotes are the only reason, don't read the footnotes. They're not pivotal to the story. Yes, I believe you do get a lot out of the footnotes. A lot of them are hilarious. A lot of them are filled with good information, but they're not pivotal. You won't really miss a whole lot of the story if you skip the footnotes. Number 2, you could also try with the audiobook. I read it the first time. The second time I read it, I listened to the audiobook, and it was fantastic. If you kick it up on your speed, it's just brilliant. So if the footnotes are bothering you, try one of those 2 methods, but I highly recommend this book. Can't wait for the 3rd book to come out next year. I'm so excited. The next category I have is contemporary, and I didn't think I read a lot of contemporary, but I do have quite a few choices. So I have 3 choices for contemporary. I have a young adult, a new adult, and an adult. The young adult, I recommend Eliza and Her Monsters. This is about a girl who is a very popular online web comic writer, and she is anonymous because she has really bad anxiety and could not handle it if people found out that she was the author. But she goes to, the new kid in school happens to be the most popular fan fiction writer of her comic, and this is kind of what happens after this. Everyone finds out that she is the author, and it is fantastic. I think it has wonderful anxiety representation. Also, there are some trigger warnings for self-harm and suicide, and of course anxiety and depression. But I highly recommend this. It is so relatable on so many levels. The next book is Song of the Fireflies by J.A. Rimirsky. I talk about the Edge of Never series on my channel all the time. So I decided to go with one of her other books that I read, which is Song of the Fireflies, which takes place, or which is in the point of view of two of the side characters that just make an appearance in The Edge of Never. But this is about Bray and Elias, and they dated when they were young in high school. And then something happens and they separate and one of them leaves. And this kind of picks up when they come back together and like why they broke up in the first place, what has happened since, and they go through so many struggles in trying to get together. This also has trigger warnings for self-harm, suicide, depression, and anxiety as well. But it is, I just love it. The J.A. Radmersky writes the healthiest, most beautiful relationships I've ever read, and I highly recommend all of her books. And for the adult contemporary, I have The 5 People You Meet in Heaven by Mitch Albom. This is super, super short, but this is basically about a man named Eddie who works at a carnival, and one of the carnival rides breaks and it's about to land on this boy, and Eddie goes and like pushes the boy out of the way, but ends up being caught himself and he dies and he goes to heaven. This story is about Eddie in heaven, and he's meeting the 5 people that have influenced his life or whose lives he has influenced the most. And it is amazing. It makes you think. I don't know. I read this in one sitting. Like I said, it is super short. I read this in one sitting. I could not put it down. I highly recommend this book. Next is Dystopian. Whew. Dystopian has come and gone, and it's not very popular anymore. So of course there's not many I could choose from that haven't been read by many. But I'm going with The Hunger Games by Suzanne Collins. I actually have never reread this. I read this once, and so many people have been talking about it recently, and I really want to reread this one. Like maybe I'll reread this one this month. Who knows? But if you don't know what The Hunger Games is about, I don't know what to tell you. You should know. But I love The Hunger Games. It's one of the first books I ever read, like one of the first series that I ever read, aside from Twilight, which got me into reading and I loved. But I highly recommend The Hunger Games. I feel like it's one of the best dystopians ever. Let's discuss science fiction for a moment. I do not read science fiction. Actually, this is not true. I'm going to show you this edition just because I've never shown it on my channel and I really want to show it off. And that is Ender's Game by Orson Scott Card. This is my favorite book of all time. I don't talk about it very much because I don't know, I just don't. But I love this book. But I really want to show off this edition. Isn't it beautiful? This is the only science fiction book that I've ever loved. It's my favorite book of all time, but I don't like science fiction. That being said, I highly recommend Ender's Game. I'm not going to really talk about it much. This is about a world where the government takes the smartest, brightest kids in the world and sends them to space camp, basically, where they learn how to fight in wars. Ender is, his name is Andrew, he goes by Ender, is the main character in this book, one of the kids that gets sent to war camp. He's brilliant. I love this book. It has so many deeper elements than just that, but the book I wanted to show you is Illuminae by J. Kristoff and Amy Kaufman. Basically, the reason I wanted to show you this is because I don't like science fiction. However, I enjoyed my time reading this book, and honestly, it's not because of the story. While the story was interesting, I did enjoy the story. I loved reading this book just because of how it's written. And at first it took me a while to get into it, but after I got over the fact that it's not just like a solid story that you're reading all the way through and just kind of had fun with the formats, I really enjoyed it. So if you're new to science fiction or you just can't get into it, try this out. Don't worry about, you know, the story so much and just have fun with it. The last category I have for you is mystery and thrillers. I have a YA and an adult. Actually, I have 2 YAs and 2 adults. The first adult is Where They Found Her by Kimberly McCreight. I'm not really going to talk about this because I do talk about this in my Bookmas recommendations video, so I will link that below. But I highly recommend this. It's a lot of fun. My other adult mystery that I have is Emma in the Night by Wendy Walker. This is about two sisters who go missing and 3 years later one returns and is trying to help the police find the other sister. It is thrilling, it is captivating, the mystery is fantastic, the elements are so woven, the psychological element, the ending, everything is fantastic. I gave this 4 stars. I love the writing style, highly recommend it. Obviously these are mysteries, so I'm not going to give you a synopsis. My first young adult I have is The Girl Who Was Supposed to Die by April Henry. This is my second book that I read by her. I actually listened to this one on audiobook. I loved it. I've listened to it in one day. I could not stop. I wanted to know what happened. Basically, all I'm going to tell you is this girl wakes up blindfolded with no memories, and all she knows is that someone's trying to kill her. The last book I have is We Were Liars by E. Lockhart. All I will say is I'll read you the bag. We are Sinclairs, no one is needy, no one is wrong. We live, at least in the summertime, on a private island off the coast of Massachusetts. Perhaps that is all you need to know, except that some of us are liars. I love this book. This is another book I read in one sitting. I read it for a readathon that I did a long time ago, I don't remember, but I highly enjoyed my time with this book. Highly recommend it. And there you go, some recommendations for some different genres. I hope you discovered some books that you may have not heard of before. I tried to pick some that weren't super popular, but of course I had to throw some in there because these are books that I love in my heart. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. I post videos every Tuesday, Friday, and Sunday, but of course you're getting a video almost every day in December, so if you don't want to miss a single Countdown to Bookmas video from me, hit that subscribe button or the little bell icon to be notified whenever I post. I will leave all my social media links and the schedule and all that good stuff down below for you guys. And as always, I'll talk to you next time. Bye!